Abdullah said at a capacity building workshop for Senate correspondents. Nigerian, Africa's most popular nation, has faced worsening food security since the removal of fuel subsidy, high transport costs, and insecurity on major highways disrupts the movement of goods. For more information on the story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline Tinubu orders fresh push to crash food prices.
And still on the Up newspaper from my end, I have keep off government industrial land. Ondo Commissioner warns. Now the details. The Commissioner for Commerce, Industry and Cooperative Services, Pastor Adegbola Ademuwagun, has warned business owners against encroaching on government-owned industrial land. Speaking during an inspection tour of Mechanic Village, Akure, Owena Regional Market, Moferiring, Agbogbo Oke, and Stadium Neighborhood Market in Ondo City. The Commissioner condemned the illegal occupation of government industrial estates by some merchants without recourse to the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperative Services. Ademuwagun urged business owners to always obtain the necessary business permits from the ministry before encroaching structures on industrial land, stressing that the ministry would collaborate with other relevant government agencies to take appropriate action regarding disputed land. While advising business owners on the way forward, the Commissioner encouraged them to form cooperative societies to enjoy trade benefits. He also appealed to traders and business owners to complement the good efforts of Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa towards the industrialization of the state by managing government properties as if they were their own. For details of the story, see the Up newspaper with the headline Keep off government industrial land, Ondo Commissioner warns.
Still reading story coming from the Punch newspaper as well. We have Rep. Grill Edun Bagudu over 2024-2025 budget delays. Now to the detail of this story. The House of Representative Committee on Appropriation has engaged the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, and the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, over the pace of implementation of the 2024-2025 Appropriation Act. Briefing newsmen after the closed-door session in Abuja on Wednesday, the chairman of the committee, Abubakar Bichi, APC Kanun, said Nigerians were increasingly worried about the level of budget execution. He explained that the engagement was part of National Assembly's constitutional mandate to monitor budget performance and ensure effective service delivery. He said, and I quote, "We have engaged with the Minister of Finance and Budget. Both acknowledge the concern and assure us of our commitment to work harder to the Nigerians so that Nigerians can begin to see feasible results from the budget." For more information on the story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline Rep. Grill Edun Bagudu over 2024-2025 budget delays.
You're still listening to iPower 102.7 FM and the program is In the Papers. We will go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you the rest of the stories.
Welcome back. You are still on to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emureile Owo, Ondo State. We have another story coming from
the Hope newspaper, where I have Omoluabi Progressives INEC affirmation of ADC leaders. Now the details. The Omoluabi Progressives have congratulated the African Democratic Congress ADC on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC affirmation of Senator David Mark and Ogbeni Rauf Aregbeshola as the chairman and the secretary of the party, respectively. The affirmation, achieved against all odds, aimed at frustrating the will of the people and marked a significant victory for democracy and a powerful testament to the resilience of the Nigerian spirit. In a statement issued by Abosede Oluwaseun, Publicity and Organizing Secretary, Omoluabi Progressive, she said, this triumph is not merely symbolic. It is a clear testament that when Nigerians stand united and resolute, no amount of intimidation or manipulation can silence a collective voice of the people. Now is the time to consolidate this success by building bridges across our federation, fostering unity and reinforcing the value that binds us together. As history often shown, it's always seemed impossible until it is done. Today we proudly affirm it is done. Together we will continue to uphold democracy, demand accountability, and champion the dignity and progress of our people, she said. For details of this story, see the Hope newspaper with the headline, Omoluabi Progressive hails INEC's affirmation of ADC leaders.
And away from that to the Punch newspaper, where I have this story coming through your air. We have Yobe Odes marks burial as bandit kills 84. Now to the detail of this story. At least 84 people have been killed in a devastating bandit attack on Mafa community in Tamuwa local government area of Yobe State. The Yobe State government on Wednesday conducted a mass burial for the victims in Babangida, the local government headquarters. Confirming the incident, the police public relations officer of the state command, Dangos Abdulkarim, said about 150 suspected Boko Haram fighters stormed the village on over 50 motorcycles, wielding rifles and rocket-propelled grenades. He said, and I quote, the attack led to widespread destruction, with shops and houses set ablaze, forcing nearly all villagers to flee to Babangida. He, however, noted that residents had since returned to Mafa and that no further incident had been reported. The assault, which left scores dead and properties destroyed in one of the deadliest in Yobe in recent time. For more information on this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, Yobe Odes marks burial as bandit kills 84.
And straight to Daily Post newspaper, where I have Tinubu reveals what it discussed with French President Macron. Now the details. President Bola Tinubu has revealed what he discussed with French President Emmanuel Macron during the meeting on Wednesday. In a post on his official X handle, President Tinubu described the meeting as productive. He said the discussion focused on cooperation between Nigeria and France to deepen the partnership for mutual prosperity and global stability. He had a productive lunch with the President Emmanuel Macron. We reviewed key areas of cooperation between Nigeria and France and agreed to deepen our partnership for mutual prosperity and global stability, the President stated. For details of the story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Tinubu reveals what he discussed with French President Macron.
Let me join you shortly on the Daily Post newspaper as well, where I have this story coming. We have Lagos activate emergency operations after Ebola outbreak kills 15 in DRC. Now to the story. Lagos State government has activated its Public Health Emergency Operation Center Incident Management Structure IMS as part of precautionary measures against a potential outbreak of the Ebola virus disease. The move followed an emergency meeting convened on September 9 at Mainland Hospital Yaba after the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC confirmed 28 suspected cases and 15 deaths, including 4 health workers, in its last Ebola resurgence. Health experts at the session assessed Lagos' preparedness using a comprehensive checklist that covered infection prevention and control surveillances, contact tracing, laboratory capacity, case management, and evacuation procedure. Speaking after the meeting, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Olusegun Ogboye, represented by the Director of Epidemiology, Biosecurity and Global Health, Dr. Ismail Abdulsalam, said the activation of IMS was proactive measure, stressing Lagos' high risk as Nigerian busiest entry point with multiple international gateways. For more information on this story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Lagos activates emergency operation after Ebola outbreak kills 15 in DRC.
And straight to the Punch newspaper, where I have police INEC move against early campaign. Now the details. As the race towards the 2027 general elections gather momentum, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Nigerian Police Force has warned political parties against embarking on early campaigns in violation of the electoral law. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu lamented that parties had already kicked off subtle campaigns despite clear provisions that restricted such activities to 150 days before the polls. The development has drawn sharp reactions across the political space, while former INEC boss Atahiru Jega called for firm measures to curb the trend. The opposition party, the opposition People's Democratic Party and African Democratic Congress accused the ruling All Progressive Congress of being the worst offender. The APC, however, defended the Commission's position even as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, vowed to enforce the law against violators. INEC boss Professor Yakubu on Wednesday decried the increasing cases of early political campaigns across the country, labeling them as clear breach of Nigerians' electoral law and a threat to the democratic governance. He pledged to collaborate with the National Assembly and political stakeholders to amend the Electoral Act, granting INEC the power to sanction defaulters. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Police INEC move against early campaigns.
And you are still listening to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM in Murele, Owo, Ondo State. For your reaction, opinion, your perspective about the program or the headline read so far, you can call us on 081 6552 4699. 081 6552 4699. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you details of the further story and more.
You're still listening to iPower 102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers. And I have with me from the Punch newspaper, police arrests OB of Lagos foils installation. Now the details. The Lagos State Police Command has arrested a 65-year-old man, Chibuike Azubike, for alleged parading himself as the OB of Lagos. He was apprehended along 3 alleged accomplices while attempting to stage an unlawful unveiling ceremony. The arrest comes against the backdrop of growing ethnic tension, particularly among youths on various social media platforms who exchanged banter over Azubike's planned installation. Azubike said to be an indigene of the Obodoku ancient kingdom of Itato, North local government area of Imo State, was arrested with Chief Chibuzo Ani, 57, Chief Martins Awodike, 65, and Ikechukwu Franklin Nadi, 41. The four are currently being held at the command headquarters in Ikeja. According to the police, in a statement on X.com on Wednesday, the group had planned to unveil a prototype and a purported 1.5 billion palace of the Obi of Lagos on Saturday, September 13, 2025 at the Apple Hall in Amuwo, Odofin. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Police Arrest Obi of Lagos Foils Installation.
And still on the Punch newspaper as well, we have EFCC quizzes as NNPC GMD Kyari over refinery contrast. Now to the detail of the story. The immediate past group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, on Wednesday honored an invitation by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission for interrogation over refinery maintenance and contract-related issues. A senior official of the anti-graft agency who spoke to correspondents on condition of anonymity for lack of authorization confirmed that Kyari had been with investigators for almost half the day. He said, and I quote, "We invited him and he honored our invitation. It has been a long session of interrogation with our investigators. As of 8 p.m., he is still there, but I cannot say if he will spend the night. He is being interrogated on turnaround, maintenance of refineries, and contrast, among other issues." The EFCC spokesperson, Dele Oyewale, when contacted, confirmed that Kyari came to the EFCC headquarters but denied further comments on the matter. For more information on the story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, EFCC quizzes SNMPC GMD Kyari over refinery contrast.
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have Tinubu to address world leaders at UN General Assembly. Now the details. Nigerian's President Bola Tinubu will address the 80th session of the high-level general debate of the United Nations General Assembly at the UN headquarters in New York on Wednesday, September 24. A revised provisional list of speakers obtained by the correspondents of the news agency of Nigeria from the UN headquarters in New York showed that Tinubu would be speaking on the second day of the event. The Nigerian leader is scheduled to deliver his address to other world leaders during the afternoon session around 8:30 p.m. local time, approximately 2:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Tinubu will be the 17th world leader to speak on day 2 of the general debate according to the provisional list. It will be joining the gathering of 195 world leaders made up of 98 head of state, 5 vice presidents, 44 head of government, and 4 deputy prime ministers. The others are 37 ministers, 1 crown prince, and 4 chair of delegation to speak at the general debate. The president of Brazil, Luiz da Silva, would be the first world leader to present his address at the 78th session as its tradition. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Tinubu to address world leaders at UN General Assembly.
I'm still on the Punch newspaper where I have this story. We have, "Don't judge ADC on by-election losses," says spokesperson. Now to the detail of the story. The coalition-backed African Democratic Congress has urged that it should not be judged by its failure to win any seats in last month's by-elections. Speaking on channel television Politics Today on Wednesday, APC spokesman Bolaji Abdullahi said the contest came too soon after the party's leadership transaction and should not be yardstick for its potential. The by-election held on August 16 to fill seats left vacant by death or resignation after the 2023 polls produced no win for the ADC. The Independent National Electoral Commission declared that All Progressive Congress winner of 12 of the 16 seats, with the All Progressive Grand Alliances taking 2 seats in Anambra. The People Democratic Party (PDP) won in Oyo, and the New Nigerian People's Party won in Kano. Asked why ADC had a poor outing in the past election, Abdullahi urged the party was not electorally ready. He said, and I quote, "We have explained it. We have issued a statement. We have talked about it several times. For us, the election happened less than a month after we came into the party. Most of the candidates, we didn't even know them. That is why we said we cannot judge the ADC by that." For more information on this story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, "Don't judge ADC on by-election losses," says spokesperson.
And straight to the Nation newspaper, where I have 47 students get 4 million naira and laptops. Now the details. 47 students have collected 4 million naira and 47 laptops. The beneficiaries were drawn from tertiary institutions nationwide. The students are at various academic level: 5 in 400 level, 39 in 300 level, 2 in 200 level, and 1 in national diploma in the 2, and are enrolling in disciplines ranging from medicine, law and engineering to education, sciences and humanities. The presentation was done on behalf of the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu's PETS Project Renewed Hope Initiative at the State House in Abuja. She said, "This is a scheme that we have to continue. This is not about politics, it is about people's life. Just like in the past, when I have gave out scholarship, I want to ask you, what do you also have to add to the table? You can grow and also look for extra things you can do that will not hinder your studies," she said. She told the beneficiaries. The First Lady urged them to make the most of the opportunities and hinted on plans to sustain the program. "We have given you 2 years of grace, and some of you have 2 more years to complete your studies. We pray that the President will have a second term so we can continue," she added. For details of this story, see the Nation's newspaper with the headline, "47 students get 47 million and 47 laptops."
Moving straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this story coming to you. We have Nigerian condemn Israeli air strike in Qatar, urges restraint. Now to the detail of the story. The federal government of Nigeria has expressed strong concern over reports that Israeli air strike in Doha, Qatar, targets senior figures of the Hamas leadership earlier this week. In a statement issued on Wednesday by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Kimebi Ebianfa, Abuja stated the need for respect national sovereignty and uphold international law, warning that the attack could further destabilize the Middle East. He said, and I quote, "This incident raises profound questions about regional stability and the future of diplomatic efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict." The government condemned the Qatar long-standing role as a mediator in peace negotiations and urged all parties involved to avoid further escalation. He said further, "We call for maximum restraint and a renewed commitment to peaceful dialogue. Violence not only deepens mistrust and prolongs sovereignty." For more information on this story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "Nigeria condemns Israeli airstrike in Qatar, urges restraint."
Still on the Punch newspaper, where I have French commissions recommend banning social media for children under 15. Now the details. A French parliamentary commission probing the psychological effects of TikTok recommends banning social media for children under 15 and adopting a digital curfew for 15 to 18 years old. according to a report released on Thursday. Such a ban will send a signal to both children and parents that before the age of 15, social media is not harmless. Laurel Miller, a lawmaker and a rapporteur for the Parliamentary Commission, told AFP the commission was launched in March after several families sued TikTok in late 2024 for allegedly exposing their children to content that could push them to suicide. It heard from families whose children have killed themselves, social media executives and influencers on TikTok, owned by China-based by TerraDance and used by millions of young people in France before issuing the recommendation. Geladin, 52, lost her daughter Popelo to suicide at the age of 18 after her death. She discovered videos of self-harm that her daughter had posted and viewed on TikTok. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, French Commission recommends banning of social media for children under 15.
And still reading story from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have insecurity comments politics without element of truth. Experts blames blast El Rufai. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you details of this story and more. Welcome back. You are still listening to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emurele Owo, Ondo State. You can call us for your opinion, your perspective, your own personal opinion about the program, the headline, the stories read so far on 081 6552 4699. 081 6552 4699. You can also join us on our YouTube by searching for iPower 102.7 FM. Now moving on with the story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. We have insecurity comments, politics without element of truth. Expert blast El Rufai. Now to the detail of the story. A security expert, Balama Bakati, has dismissed the recent claims by former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai that the federal government pays ransom and provides supplies to armed groups terrorizing the country. El-Rufai had alleged during an interview on Channels Television Sunday Politics that government complicity was worsening insecurity in the country. But reacting during his weekly live program, Bukati described the claim as politics without any element of truth. According to him, there is no law or policy that permits the government to fund or support bandits. He said ransom payments make headline were usually raised by victim families or communities. Bukati further explained that Nigerian security challenges were beyond battlefield strategy. He linked them instead to systemic corruption, which he described as the biggest enabler of terrorist activities. Bukati also cautioned against making offensive allegations against sitting presidents, recalling that similar claim had been leveled against past head of state. For more information on the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Insecurity Comments, Politics Without Element of Truth, Expert Blast El Rufai.
And on the Nation's newspaper, where I have DSS brokered drones ended Nupeng strike threat. Now the details. The strike threat by unions which would have thrown the oil sector into turmoil fizzled out yesterday. Following the drones brokered by the Directorate of the State Service DSS protesting Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Limited pre-conclusion of its new drivers for becoming part of the labor union. National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPEN, issued a threat of industrial action from Monday. Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria jumped into a fray because Dangote Refinery had become monopolistic with its plan to supply petrol directly to filling stations. The Trade Union Congress and the Nigerian Labour Congress also on Monday said they would galvanize workers to back this strike in solidarity. A Monday night's meeting by the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, which lasted till the early hours of yesterday, ended in a stalemate. The union and the refineries struck to their guns, with Labour vowing to carry out its strike threat. The meeting brought together Dangote Refinery and the trade union. For details of this, see the Nation's newspaper with the headline DSS brokered truants ended NUPEN strike threat.
Moving on with another story coming from the Daily Post newspaper as well, where Natasha quits disheartening women face struggle in Senate, says Inja. Now to the detail of the story. Pan-African Parliament and former member of ECOWAS Parliament, Fatoumata Inja, says it is disheartening that 1 out of 4 women in the Nigerian Senate is facing one struggle or the other. Inja expressed her grievances on Wednesday while responding to questions in an interview on Arise Television. This is coming following the prevention of Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from resuming in the Senate after the expiration of a 6-month suspension. Reacting, the former member of ECOWAS Parliament said the matter being subdued should not stop Senator Natasha from going back after serving a suspension for 6 months. She said, and I quote, "I know I am not a Nigerian, but I am African. I am a Pan-Africanist and also a former member of ECOWAS Parliament. I know a little of how Nigerian politics is." For more information on this story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Natasha quits disheartening women face struggle in Senate, says Inja.
And lastly, from my end on this day newspaper, where I have Shatima hails Umbasani for pioneering state skilled council, urges others to follow Kaduna's lead. Now the details. The Vice President Kasim Shatima has applauded Kaduna State Governor Senator Umbasani for establishing and chairmaning Nigeria's first state council on skill, describing the move as groundbreaking and urging other states to emulate Kaduna. Speaking at the 7th meeting of the National Council on Skill NCS on Tuesday at the Presidential Villa Abuja, the Vice President said that the skill revolution is central to the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration's covenant with Nigerians and key to delivering on its human capital development promise. Shatima stressed that building a future-ready workforce requires breaking down institutional barriers, strengthening collaboration, and aligning government, private sector, and academic efforts. The era of operating in silos is over. We must embed collaboration into the curriculum, development, and funding. This is about the artisan in Kwara Umoda and mid-career workers in Ebute Meta and the technical college that must become true center of excellence, the Vice President declared. For details of the story, see this day newspaper with the headline, Shatima hails Umbasani for pioneering state skilled council, urges others to follow Kaduna's lead.
And you are still listening to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 2.7 FM, Emorele, Owo, Ondo State. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, We'll give you the details of the headlines read so far on the story and opportunities for you to call in and share your perspective about these stories. Welcome back. We are still listening to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. And this session will be giving you the opportunities to phone in or test us with your own opinion about the headline or stories there so far, while we will be giving you the headlines of the stories read from various newspapers in Nigeria and beyond. Now, starting from the Hope newspaper, where I read the story through your air, we have ex-rep member hails Tinubu backs Aiyedatiwa's administration.
And yes, I also read from the Hope newspaper, where we have our church attack, suspect lose bail application.
And from that, I move shortly to the Punch newspaper, where I gave you this story coming from the Punch. We have resident doctors give federal government fresh 24 hours ultimatum.
We equally informed from the Hope newspaper that APC chairman and councillors endorses Omishore.
And also from the Punch newspaper, where I brought to you that Tinubu order fresh push to crash food prices.
And still on the Hope newspaper, we read to you that keep off government industrial land, Ondo commissioner warns.
Still on the Punch newspaper, where I read to you that Rep Grill Edun Bagudu over 2024-2025 budget delays.
We equally informed from the Hope newspaper that Omoluabi Progressive hails INEC's affirmation of ADC leaders.
We also told you from the Punch newspaper how Yobe holds mass burial as bandits kills 84.
We equally read that Shetima hails Umbasani for pioneering state skilled council, urges others to follow Kaduna's lead.
And away from that to the Daily Post newspaper, where we brought to you that Lagos activates emergency operations after Ebola outbreak kills 15 in DRC Congo.
And still on Daily Post, where we told you that Tinubu reveals what he discussed with French President Macron.
And we shortly move away from the Daily Post newspaper to the Punch newspaper, where we brought to you that the EFCC quizzes ex-NNPC GMD Kyari over refinery contrast.
And joining in on the Punch newspaper, we informed that police INEC move against early 2027 campaigns.
And we equally inform you on ADC on the by-election that read on the Punch newspaper, don't judge ADC on by-election losses, says spokesperson.
Also on the Punch newspaper, we read to you that police arrest Obi of Lagos fuels installation.
And we move shortly to the Daily Post newspaper, where we inform you that Nigeria condemns Israeli airstrike in Qatar, urges restraint.
And on the Nation's newspaper, we read to you that DSS brokered truce ends Nupeng's strike threat.
We equally inform you that insecurity comments, politics without element of truth, expert blast El-Rufai.
And still on the Nation's newspaper, we equally informed that 47 students get 47 million naira and 47 laptops.
And lastly, from my side, where we brought to you from the Daily Post newspaper, where I read Natasha quits disheartening women face struggle in Senate, says in jail.
And still on the Punch newspaper, where we informed that French Commission recommends banning of social media for children under 15.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's edition of In the Papers, where we've read stories so far from various newspapers in Nigeria and beyond.
Yes, we equally want to appreciate everyone that made this airing and broadcasting very, very affordable and available to you out there.
And until tomorrow, we'll be bringing a fresh new edition of In the Papers. We'll be giving you stories from various newspapers in Nigeria. I am ABDULRASAQ and Lawaye, and with me is
Florence E. Barima. Please stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
And up until next time, I'm your amazing